and one for the intelligent as fellas get. Listen, let's settle this, be clear. I could fall back 7 years, still it ain't no one ahead of me. Consider it a blessing if you get to stand next to me. 5-star general, OG veteran, cake like.
What's up, everybody, and welcome to Bios3 Raw TV. Today I want to talk for a second about jealousy in bodybuilding, physique, bikini, figure, fitness industry in general. When I grew up in Rhode Island, which is part of New England, obviously, for you guys who don't know, it's like the smallest state in the fucking entire country. Like, most people don't even know where it is. And the bodybuilding community there was, as far as competitors, was not really that big. It was decent, but it wasn't really that big. And of course, Rhode Island's connected to Massachusetts, New Hampshire, New York, all those, not New York, but Connecticut. So like the New England kind of area, where Massachusetts actually bred quite a few bodybuilders that were pretty good. Paul DeMeo, Mike Matarazzo, Jay Cutler. There's plenty of guys that came out of there. Jose Raymond, who's still competing now. And, Rhode Island, not so many came out of there. There's only a couple, like Anthony DeRezzo was kind of the big dog there. The Reeves brothers, Stephen, Albert, and Joe Reeves, they were winning like all the fucking titles and stuff. So when I kind of came into the scene, I was just one of a few, teenagers in the area that were competing. Now, one thing that I didn't really realize at the time, because that's where I was from, I didn't know any different, I just knew what I saw and what was going on, was there was a lot of fucking jaw jabbing all over the fucking place up there. Everybody talked about this person and talked about that person. They would just talk shit. It seemed like they were trying to out-talk each other, not even on stage, like train, out-beat each other. They were trying to out-talk each other to fucking outdo the other guy. And it led to a lot of hard feelings, a lot of arguments, a lot of fucking fist fights. I mean, the shit went on for years and years and years. And I really had no fucking clue. And, you would always hear about fucking this person said this about this person said this about this guy's got no legs, this guy's a fucking dick, this guy sells drugs, like whatever the case may be. And then I moved down to Maryland in 2005. Now, I moved from the environment that I was in to where there was a couple, maybe 2 or 3 national level competitors. In Rhode Island, there was no pros. Massachusetts had some pros, but even Massachusetts wasn't chock full of pros. And there's like 5 or 6 real decent guys that came out of there. I moved down to Maryland, and one of the first people I meet is David Gross, who was a national level competitor. Steve McLeod, who had won the junior nationals, and I had seen him in magazines. And I'm learning about the area that I'm in. There's like 5 or 6, 7, 8 shows in this area, whereas Rhode Island had like 2. You had the Rhode Island and New England. That's pretty much what you had. So as I'm kind of integrating in this new community of bodybuilding and figure, there was no fitness, and there was fitness, but it wasn't bikini then. There definitely wasn't any physique. I'm learning more and more that I'm not hearing the shit talking down in Maryland that I did up in New England. And I kind of stepped back, and because I was new to the area, I kind of kept to myself a little bit. And I didn't talk shit because I didn't know anybody, so I didn't know what the fuck I would say about someone. I didn't know anything about them. So I'm in the gym, and I'm around these national level competitors, people that have won junior nationals, placed top 5 at nationals, and I'm listening to these guys, and I'm watching them not only all get along, but be supportive of each other. And I kind of stepped back, and I was like, huh, that's different. It's almost like Arnold and those guys back at Pumping Iron. They were kind of supportive, and they hung out, and they trained together. So I would get to the gym, and in 2005, the end of 2005, actually 2006, I got to Rockville. And Dave Gross was there, Steve McLeod, Big Ron was there, Ron D'Alessandro. And there were other guys that, compete in the area that would come through that gym. And Dina Al-Sabah, who was an IFBB bikini pro or figure pro, whatever at the time. And, they heard that I was getting ready to compete. So they would come up and say, hey, man, let's see how you look. And I didn't even know these guys, And the thing was, they were, kind of bringing me into their circle little by little because they saw that I was competing. And, I was very serious about it. It wasn't like I was just like, I'm going to do a show like a lot of people do now and they just fuck up. I wanted to be the best that I could be in that thing. I said, I'm doing the Body Rock. And, of course, the Body Rock was like the biggest show back in this area back in the day. And, they would flat out tell me a little bit bigger, a little bit smaller. They would tell me, different things. And in 2007, that's when they really started to kind of take me under their wing and help me out with a lot of the diet aspect. But I got the support that I never got in New England. I would hear stuff like, Ron D'Alessandro, he saw you at the gym and he said that, he said, muscle-wise, you have enough muscle for that class, but you got to get shredded. If you don't, you're not going to do well. Which is not talking shit. That's the truth. And I kind of stepped back and I was like, fuck. I didn't even understand what was going on at the time because I knew only about the Body Rock. Then I learned about the Body Rock, the Maryland, the Virginia, the East Coast Classic, now the Gladiator. There's so many shows in the area that, like in New England, everybody's vying for one of 2 shows. So they're all competing against each other in the same spot. and they're all worried about what each other is doing. Down here, there's so many shows that not everybody's going to be competing against each other. So if you're at the gym and you got 5 other guys that are competing, more than likely they're going to be doing other shows, you know, or they're in other classes. If they do wind up being in your class, it was understood here that every dog has their day. Everyone has their time, which means that out of 5 guys, this guy's going to win this time, this guy's going to win the next time, this guy's going to win the time after that. Like, everyone have their time, and instead of talking shit or whatever, they would look at each other objectively and help each other out and say, dude, you got to fucking bring your legs up, you got to bring your arms up, you know, maybe you need to get fucking 5 pounds less to make that fucking cutoff for this. Like, they were helping each other make weight, helping each other train. They were helping each other get to the show, even if they were competing against each other. You know, I remember watching Richard Siegelman. He was competing in, I believe it was in New Jersey. Was it Jersey or? So it was Jersey he met this guy at. And he was going to be, so this guy was like a middleweight, and I think Rich was a lightweight. But they were going to be competing against each other at Masters Nationals in an age class. So there was no weights, but it was an age class. And this guy's luggage got fucked up, and he had actually had some of his food in his luggage, like his carbs and whatever, in the luggage itself that never made it. So, you know, when he got to the hotel, Rich saw him, and he said, oh man, you know, fucking one of the suitcases is gone, and I had my food in it. I saw Rich turn around, who was a competitor of his, and reach into his bag and say, look, I got some extra rice cakes, some extra jelly. That's all I brought with me here. But you're welcome to have it. Here you go. You need it on the spot. You need to go. Here it is. He was helping the guy out, even though he was competing against him. Because at that point, you know, like, you've done all the work. You've either outworked him, out-geneticed him, out-fucking everything him, or you didn't. You know, whether or not he gives him those rice cakes is fucking not going to make a whole bunch of difference because he's going to get the rice cakes anyways. But, you know, he reached out to him and did that. And I'm watching these guys set the example for me. I'm a lot younger than most of these guys. And I'm like, this is what it's all about. These guys are all helping each other out. And that's when I realized, you know, all the shit talking wasn't taking place. Everybody's helping each other out. This is what was really missing from my experience when I lived in New England. Rather than having everybody go against you and fucking try to sabotage you, they're trying to help you. You know, and I went on to a 2007 season that, you know, was the best I'd ever looked, you know, with the help of these guys. You know, 2008 wasn't necessarily the best season, but I'd actually gotten all fake gear that whole year. And all the guys flat out were like, you know, look, if you want to do it, just fucking say you did it because your girl is doing it with you. Cool, but you're not going to be ready. And if you were thinking about trying to go to nationals, I would pull out of the show and not do it. They were very frank and very upfront with me, not being dicks like you're too fat, you're too skinny, fucking whatever. Like, they were very frank, matter of fact, and upfront with me about it. In 2009, I came back. I got 4th at the Pittsburgh. I got 2nd at the the Maryland. I worked with Kevin Levrone. Like, everything was coming together, and I was realizing that getting out of New England was probably the best thing for me, bodybuilding-wise, but to learn more about myself and other people so that I wasn't isolated in this area in New England where I thought everybody fucking had to look out for themselves and you couldn't look out for anybody else. It was all about you and you were selfish and all this shit. When I got out of that environment, I was in a new environment, and I realized, shit, this is fucking amazing. I have, you know, I was going to all these shows now to support the other guys. I drove to New Jersey to go watch Rich and Steve McLeod compete. I went to Pittsburgh with Rich to watch him compete. You know, I went to see my friend Ani compete. Like, we would drive to all these places to watch people compete, and it was just like, man, this is fucking awesome. This is what I, you know, always wanted to do. I wanted to be involved in something that was fucking positive. And I think that for the first half of my bodybuilding competition days, a lot of it was negative. A lot of it was negative, especially when you started to compete. If you were just in the gym training, it wasn't really negative. You were part of the crew. Everybody was lifting. But when you started to compete, that's when the talking started. That's when the negativity started. That's when you started to lose friends that you once had because of competition and stuff. And, you know, here I am today living in Virginia, and there's like 4 or 5 shows in Virginia, 4 or 5 shows in Maryland. You know, there's a couple in Delaware. You got 12 shows this year in our area. And now I love going to these shows. I love going to them, meeting up with everybody, like, you know, from the Delaware, Virginia, you know, Maryland area, DC area. It's amazing because there's a community of competitors that are supportive of each other. And very rarely do you find someone arguing or fighting or pissing and moaning about something or fucking trying to sabotage someone else. I'll be honest with you. I haven't seen it in the last fucking 10 years since I've been here. So guys, be aware. It may be the environment you're in. It may be the way you're brought up in the industry, whatever the case may be, but it doesn't have to be that way. And once it's not that way, it's so much more fun while you're doing these things with people that you actually have stuff in common with. You know, and they say birds of a feather flock together. That's true. You know, you're like, there's a lot of people maybe at work that don't understand your diet, but your friends at the gym that you're competing with do. So you might be hanging out with them more than your friends at work because they understand you more. But the bottom line is, if you're not open to, you know, being supportive of them and their goals and letting them support you in your goals, that's never going to happen. Biowestrytraining@gmail.com. Leave comments down below, but don't fight. www.bicep training.com is the blog. It's a different environment, bicep, and we're out.